Welcome to The Challenge Historian, where we dive deep into all things MTV's The Challenge, past, present, or future. If it's happening in the Challenge universe, then we are here to document it. I am your host and dedicated Challenge historian, Jacob Hollabaugh. Thank you so very much for being here with us today. It's Tuesday. We're 24 hours away from a brand new episode of Season 37, Spies, Lies, and Allies, which means it's time for our super fast review preview, get us caught up on everything that happened last week in the in-between time and ready to go for tomorrow night. It's been a long days since episode 4, and a lot has happened since. A lot happened in that episode. We expect a lot to happen in the next episode. You know, we've had Aftermath, we have Instagram Lives, one big Instagram Live, bonus content, cast members all over the podcast circuit, everything. So much to keep up with. That's why you've got me. I stay up on all of it so that you don't feel the pressure to have to do so yourself. As always, we are going to do a quick review of what happened in the last episode. Then we're going to break down things from that between time and then make some predictions for tomorrow night's episode at the end. We're going to do so quick, so let's go ahead and get started with that episode review. All right, 90 seconds on the clock. Everything that happened in last week's episode reviewed as quickly as possible. Here we go. 3, 2, and 1. A pool party takes place where we learn that 1, Big T has a crush on Logan, 2, Devin and Kyle are best friends, and 3, Amber feels safe with the Big Brother alliance, but Fessy still wants to throw in Amber even against his best friend Josh's will. At the daily challenge, undercover comms, one partner hangs in the air, relaying codes to another partner on the ground who solves the code, opens keys, drops players from the rig out of the game. Heat 1, Amber and Josh win easily. Second heat sees controversy as Kyle drops Emmy and Devin, going against the vet's strategy in the heat and against his supposed best friend. Fessy and Esther get the heat win and eventually the overall win with a faster time than Amber and Josh. Fessy and Esther in power. Post-daily, some vets wonder if they should get rid of Kyle for being a snake, but after he apologizes to Devin, things do calm down. Romance is in the air when they hit the bar. Jeremiah and Amber seen getting close, as well as Michele and Emmanuel. Deals are also in the air. Corey L. lets Fessy know he wants Huey in elimination if he is, in fact, the house vote, which at nominations, it's clear Corey and Michele are going to be the house vote. They become the house vote. They're fine with that, but they want to pick who they go against. In the lair, Fessy and Esther give Corey his wish to go against Huey, but Fessy goes rogue and throws in Amber. But before he can even get the words out about Amber, Josh goes ballistic on the podium. They have a screaming match for what may have been like 30 minutes long. TJ gets his phone out, the whole thing. Corey and Michele end up facing Huey and Amber in Down to the Wire, a physical puzzle where the two teammates are handcuffed together, have to work their way through a pipe maze and back. After each team gets stuck a time or two, keys are dropped and picked back up. A lot of shit is talked mid-game. And finally, a flip from Amber to end the thing. Her and Huey cross the finish line, get the win, send home Michele and Corey. Amber picks Devin as her new partner, number 1 draft pick yet again, setting up a new rookie team in Gabo and Emmy. Huey picks Nany, putting Ashley and Josh together, and that's the end of the episode. Not quite 90 seconds, but we tried. Anyways, that's everything that happened last week. So a good little catch up. You get your brains going back in sync with this season, the Spies, Lies, and Allies. Now let's talk about what has taken place between the end of that episode and right now, today, Tuesday, heading into tomorrow night's hooray, tomorrow night. We don't have to wait a week. Tomorrow night's episode. All right, let's kick things off here. Everything that's happened since the episode aired. Again, this is always, we keep this spoiler free. This is not checking the sites, knowing what's going to happen in the future. And this is nothing that has anything to do with, the greater challenge universe outside of the season we are watching, Spies, Lies, and Allies. So anything that actually relates to the stories and themes and ideas that we're seeing on this current season or might see in future episodes, that's what we are looking for out there in the social media sphere, the podcast realm, the Aftermath after show, the Instagram Lives, all that good stuff. So let's start with Aftermath. Another great episode of Aftermath. As always, disclaimer, if you're not watching Aftermath yourself, if you're a big enough challenge fan to be listening to a podcast all about the challenge and reviewing it, I promise you're going to be enjoying the Aftermath. So you can check that out on YouTube. But if you missed last week's, a couple interesting things go down on it. And the first one is something we're going to talk about even more in depth when we get to Instagram Live in a moment. But it has Fessy, Michele, Corey, Amanda, and then Huey and Kyle. Yes, Huey and Kyle are calling in. So the 6 of them are there with the wonderful host, Devin Simone. Fessy and Michele are sitting very close on the couch, which is called out immediately by Devin. And we do find out, or at least get our first tip off, that Fessy and Michele may or may not have hooked up after the show. while they're there to film Aftermath. They're in New York to film Aftermath after they've gotten back from the show, but there may have been some off-screen post-show hookup referenced. More on that to come later, where we get some confirmation elsewhere out there. The other thing in the Aftermath episode, we find out the votes. Pretty straightforward votes from this week's episode. Almost everyone voting for Corey and Michele. The only kind of standout votes that didn't go for Corey and Michele was that Emmanuel, Emmy, and Josh, all three went for Big T and Jeremiah, which is interesting. Again, Big T continuing to be kind of the one vet targeted. Interesting that Josh threw his vote that way as kind of the one ringleader of like Vet Alliance, vets keep us safe, just go for the rookies. But Josh also in that episode, if we remember, did drop Big T and Jeremiah first before he dropped Corey and Michele in the daily challenge. So he definitely is kind of maybe the one vet that's like, we might as well get Big T out of here. She could rally some rookies, that sort of thing. That was the only really consequential vote. Kyle, as usual, we don't do quotes of the week for Aftermath, but if we did, he had the quote of the episode when Fessy was being asked a bunch about, he and Josh, how mad Josh was at him for throwing in Amber, how they couldn't get their alliance, on the same page. And Kyle drops in via the Zoom, Fessy, you should be in alliance with me because as long as I'm safe, I don't give a shit who you say, which... one, very true. We know that about Kyle, and two, is absolutely hilarious. So he has a great moment. The only other thing I got to say from the Aftermath, there'll be more on this in the episodes to come as this season unfolds, but it's officially happened. 3 seasons ago, Total Madness, 2.5 seasons ago, whatever it was, Total Madness, I was a little lukewarm on all the Big Brother entrance into the world of the challenge, and I was very much lukewarm on Fessy. I enjoyed watching him in the big, in a hall brawl or a pole wrestle, but I was, like a lot of people, a little kind of lukewarm out, didn't really know what we were going to get. Last season on Double Agents, when everyone else started to kind of hate the guy from both on the show and fan perspective, and he kind of turned into a little bit of a villain, I found myself kind of enjoying his villain turn and thinking that while he hadn't perfected playing the villain on TV quite yet, that he was making strides and was kind of interested. And now this season, I can full on say, I will happily, if no one else wants to be in it, I will happily be the leader of the Fessy fan club. I love this guy now. I am all in on him. He has a great performance on this episode of Aftermath, and he has a great performance in the Instagram Live that we're about to talk about. But I feel like he kind of figured out after last season, he sees the edit, he's edited as the villain. Not that was going to go any other way when you do what he did to Nelson and whatnot, but I feel like he's a little bit better at leaning into it in more entertaining ways this season. He's been handling these aftermaths when it's always him getting the questions. He's handling the whole messy Fessy stuff and kind of moniker super well. And he's still 2 for 2 on finals, and still is, as much as his whole alliance might hate him right now after last episode, I don't know who's going to take him out. We'll get to predictions at the end of this, but I don't know who's going to throw him in. So I'm all in on Fessy. I'm leading the Fessy fan club. Anyone out there that wants to join, let me know. Hop on in. We might have to make t-shirts and the whole thing, because I have come full circle from Total Madness to now I am all in on Fessy. And speaking of him, let's go ahead and get to anything else from other than Aftermath. The other main thing to discuss is there was a lot of Instagram Lives, there was a lot of podcasts, there was a lot of stuff going on, but there was one in particular that took all the news, and that was an Instagram Live between Amanda, Fessy, and briefly Michele as well. Late at night, I think it was Saturday night, because I was out doing some other stuff. I get home, and I think it was around like 10:30 Central Time. I don't know. Fessy's in Orlando, so he's on Eastern Time, so 11:30, almost midnight. Amanda's on live. She brings in Fessy. And they go for like 2 hours. Michele pops in briefly. Michele, who was in Spain at the time and must have been like 4, 5, 6 a.m., something like that, like pre-sunrise in Spain, pops in because a lot of tea was spilled. It took a while to get there. It was a very, very long. Amanda and Fessy, about half the time was just Fessy saying, are we going to do this, Amanda? Are we going to spill the tea? Are we going to actually tell? Do you want to be honest? Do we want to say the whole thing? If we're going to do it, we got to say the whole thing. There was a lot of that over and over. There was a lot of kind of trying to avoid actually talking about certain things. But here was the tea that was spilled on there that pertains to this particular season and the stories we've been seeing. We saw at the beginning of the season, Fessy and Amanda had hooked up. I mentioned in the recap of last week's episode, while it was brief, we kind of saw a little flirtatious moment while they were up on the rig. So there's still something going on there as in the show that we're seeing. We find out during this that their hooking up might have went a little bit longer, but unbeknownst to us, not shown on the screen yet at least, or what seems to be probably not going to happen because it sounds like it happened in time that would have been on the show already. Fessy also hooked up with Bettina in the house, and then when Amanda confronted him about it, said it was just a one-time thing, that's it. And Amanda said, cool, as long as it was only one time, then we can continue hooking up. And they continued to hook up. But then the day after Fessy told her that, he was seen by the poolside with Bettina massaging him. And Amanda and Ashley saw this from up on the balcony. There was some words exchanged, some yelling. None of this made it on the screen, which, as many across Instagram have commented now after all of this has come out, and there's a bunch of memes and pictures of the whole thing, I don't know how the heck they don't show this. This show is struggling for ratings. We're not going to talk about that, but another horribly rated show. And fans like this stuff. So you should have shown it. I don't know. Maybe there was something about it that, what, I don't know. Maybe they probably have their reasons for not putting it on screen. But Fessy and Bettina hooked up. That kind of cooled and ended things between him and Amanda, at least initially. Maybe we'll see. And then we find out and get actual confirmation, unlike what was alluded to in Aftermath, that when the show ended, Michele went and visited Fessy in his hometown, Orlando, and then he went and visited her at her home before they then both came to Aftermath together and potentially stayed the night together in the hotel in New York while filming Aftermath. All of this was kosher between Michele, talked to Amanda. Again, Fessy and Amanda weren't dating, but just, nice, good girl code, whatever. Michele did reach out and ask Amanda or told Amanda that was happening, and everyone was cool with it. But so Michele and Fessy was a thing, maybe like a very briefly, but kind of serious thing very briefly. Visiting each other's hometowns. They both, after a lot of hemming and hawing, confirmed that yes, they did that. Amanda, praise Amanda. She's just a challenge queen at this point and is so good on television. Thank God we have her back, but she really pushes Fessy the whole time they're on Instagram Live together. Once she pushes to get Michele on there, and then makes them say definitively all of this happened. So we find all of that out. Again, the whole thing went on for 2 hours. The first half of it, Fessy did from inside a car where you could barely see him. Literally his nose would kind of come into the light briefly, but mostly it was kind of like a blank screen, him just talking in the darkness. The second half, though, he got home, got into his bedroom, and of course had to take his shirt off and put the cowboy hat on, the whole thing. It was awesome. Michele, and then, yeah. Amanda just, once again proves her immense value to this franchise. So that Instagram Live was lighting up the internet on Saturday night. It was absolutely amazing. A lot of tea spilled. That was great. I don't believe she has posted that, or probably, I would assume, won't on her Instagram TV or anything. So it might have been a one-time thing. The only other thing from out in the Instagram world, social media world, is that Corey did do a good amount of apologizing to Huey, both on Aftermath, initially right in the show, in the interviews on the show, on Aftermath, on social media afterwards. Those two seem like they're cool, friendly, funny banter coming back and forth on Twitter. Anyone trying to call either one out for what went down on the episode between them is kind of shutting everything down, letting it be known, hey, some mistakes were made from both of us. We didn't both love it, but there was reasons for it, heat of the moment, emotions running high, and they both got love for each other after the fact. So that's great. And speaking of Huey was on the Challenge Redditors React podcast this week and was absolutely hilarious while giving some great perspective on being a rookie on this season, his whole reality TV career, which is a lot longer than I totally realized, and just absolutely hilarious. So go check out the Redditors React podcast if you want to listen to Huey and some more about his background, his time on this season. You will not be disappointed. That's everything that happened in the between time. Let's then move into some quick preview and predictions of tomorrow night's episode. All right, prediction time. Last week, we went 2 for 3. We said going into last week's episode on this review preview podcast that a vet would see elimination for the first time and only one. Got that one right. We said that vet would win the elimination, which Amber did just that alongside Huey. So got that one right. The only one we got wrong last week is we thought that Kyle and Amanda would win the daily challenge, which came very close. They got second in their heat, in the heat that had the winning time. So they were right there. But not quite. 2 of 3 on the season. We've gone 2.5 out of 3, 1 out of 3, and now 2 out of 3 for a total score of 5.5 out of 9. So moving into tomorrow night's episode, we will make 3 more predictions. We're going to do 3 a week. Keep our tally going for the year. And again, one more time, disclaimer, None of this comes from any spoilers. These are just my thoughts, ideas, and predictions. I don't even, at this point, I haven't even watched the next week on. I didn't want to see any of that. I don't watch the clips they start putting out on Monday and Tuesday of the new daily challenge, the big emotional point of the episode, all that. I don't like any of that. As if you listened last week about my rant about the ratings and some of the other things that could be fixed, that was one of them. I don't like watching that stuff. So these are just me coming off last episode in Aftermath, trying to make my own predictions about what's going to happen tomorrow. 3 for tomorrow's episode. Number 1, the first vet of the season goes home. At least first vet via elimination goes home. Nam did before, but not because of an elimination. So first vet goes home via elimination. Second one, Tori is chosen as a new partner again to kind of sync up with my season-long prediction of Tori getting 5 or more partners. I think she's getting chosen. Again, she got a week off last week from being chosen. I think she's getting chosen by whatever male wins the elimination this week. And then third one, I'm saying Fessy and Esther win the daily challenge again. I think they're going to go up to 3 out of 5. They're going to start pulling a full-on Leroy and Casey from Double Agents and just start winning every one of these daily challenges. So Fessy and Esther win the daily again. Tori is chosen as a new partner again, and our first vet goes home via elimination. Those are the 3 predictions for tomorrow night. We're expecting a lot out of tomorrow night's episode. We last episode on a huge emotional moment with Josh and Fessy going at each other. Amber and Huey getting the huge win. Amber coming back in the house. The Big Brother Alliance in shambles. The Vet Alliance. All of the fractures we saw last week ended up finally having the first kind of dart thrown there by Fessy at Amber. Now everything's unraveling. They also just have a huge lead over the rookies, so they don't really have to worry about any massive rookie alliance at this point. There is a rookie pair now in the house after last week with Gabo and Emmy being together, which they did very strategically. That's why they wanted Amber to pick Devin to make that new rookie pair. So probably going to end up seeing rookie go in, but whichever vet gains the power is going to be the one picking what other vet possibly goes in, and at least according to my predictions, goes home. So a lot to look forward to tomorrow night. That's your preview. As always, follow us on Instagram at Challenge Historian if you want more content from the Challenge Historian world. As always, subscribe or follow this podcast. Follow on Spotify, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. Hit the subscribe, follow button. If it has a rating feature, please give us a 5-star rating. That stuff helps us a lot, and we very, very much appreciate it. But make sure you don't miss an episode. We will be back late Wednesday night, first thing when you wake up Thursday morning on your commute, whatever you're doing that day. The pod will be there to recap episode 5. Hopefully it's a great one. High expectations for this. So check it out, tune in, listen in on Thursday. And until then, we'll talk to you. Peace.